My name is Scott Morris. I'm a member of the board of the Finn Hill Neighborhood Alliance. We're the neighborhood association that represents Finn Hill. We've been around for, I think, about 25 years, going back to the days when we were part of the county. And we have focused primarily on preserving the wonderful natural environment that we have. And when we were incorporated into the city, we were able to get into our neighborhood plan something that we call the Green Loop. And the idea of the Green Loop is to preserve open space, green space on Finn Hill, like what we're celebrating here, and connecting our parks, preserving our wetlands and creeks, and connecting, hopefully, all the way around Finn Hill so that you can walk in a green corridor all the way around the hill, like 10 miles. And this is evidence that we're making progress. I want to welcome you all for coming, and in particular, I want to welcome public officials who have supported us and without which that dream will never become a reality. State Representative Davina Dur is here or is coming. County Executive Dow Constantine is here and will be talking briefly. There goes my memory of whoever else is here. Rod Dembowski of the King County Council, who was instrumental in making this happen, is going to say a few things. The Kirkland Council is very well represented. Deputy Mayor Jay Arnold will be talking. Other council members who are here include John Pascal over there, Toby Nixon, Amy Falcone, Neil Black, and the other, Mayor Penny Sweet would have come, but she was not feeling well today, and Kelly Curtis is out of town. But thank you all for coming. Sarah Brandt from County Parks, who put this together, is here. Jim Lopez, the Deputy City Manager of Kirkland, is here. I believe John Lloyd from Parks is also here. Not sure if that's the case. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And then more broadly, I wanted to thank the community for supporting this vision and being engaged. Without that, nothing would happen. You've been vocal in talking to elected officials. You have been generous in making donations to the Finn Hill Neighborhood Alliance. That is a key part of our strategy. We want a lot for Finn Hill, but it's very important that we contribute both our time and our money to make that happen, and you've done that. I want to thank the city for supporting the Green Loop vision and incorporating it in the city plan, and also putting money behind it, as you will hear. They are responsible for the very first piece, the very first parcel that started this acquisition. And I want to thank the county for really stepping up and pulling all of this together. I think Rod will tell you just how many pieces had to come together to make this happen. Quick comment. All of this started, as John will tell you, he was on our board along with Amy years ago. We went around Finn Hill to look at properties that we thought we should try to preserve. Obviously, this one was at the top of the list. I didn't think we'd ever get it. It just seemed too big and too ripe for development. But it's always been there. And right when COVID hit, we saw a for sale sign on the guardrail down at the bottom of the hill. It's for a parcel called the Winski parcel, a small triangular parcel. So we said, we'll buy it. We didn't have the money, but we had enough money to put a down payment, and we went to the city, and the city said, okay, we're in. About 2 weeks after that, while we were trying to figure out what to do with a disconnected parcel, with a park over there, but the creek flows through it. It's very important. One of the neighbors here, Rick Smith, who's here today, who knows Jim Kosalos, said, you might want to talk to Jim and Dev, the owners of all this, because they might be interested in selling. So we did. And it all came together, maybe not fast enough for Jim and Dev, but I think with blazing speed. And we were very lucky But I want to thank Jim and Dev for their vision. They could have sold this for a lot more money. I didn't tell you that, but they could have sold this for more money to a developer. All this could be covered with houses. But they said from the very start, we don't want to do that. We want this to be preserved as green space and open space. And they stayed true to that commitment. And I would now like to hand it over to Jim to say a few things.
Thank you, Scott. I asked Deborah to come up as well, but she's from Brooklyn and a little bit shy. It's with great pleasure I can talk to you and tell you that we thought it was a fabulous opportunity to work with the county and try to do something to preserve this land. A little bit of history. I grew up in Wisconsin. I'm of Greek descent. My dad, early on, before I was born, stumbled into some property in northern Wisconsin, and he bought 50 acres of forest on a little lake, and for $50. It was like back taxes. So when he got back, his father beat him up. "What are you doing that? That's so stupid," and blah, blah. Well, when I was a kid, every summer, my dad left my sister and I and my mom up at the little honeymoon cottage they built. You had to row across the lake. There was no road. They floated the wood for that cottage as a raft around the edge of the lake to build it. And I spent the whole summers up there appreciating the forest. That's where it comes from. When I got here to work for International Nickel in deep sea mining, I looked and looked and looked and stumbled into this piece of property and said, wow, I could just have my little version of a forest out here and it would be so nice. So I was fortunate to be able to get some friends to help loan me some money, and I bought it. And then the history, we finally had opportunities to buy a little more, and then finally the next house, and so here we are. And with an opportunity to take all of this property and transition it to the county to maintain the forest and the trees and retain the complete salmon stream routing now from the headwaters down to Lake Washington, which is, I think, just fabulous. So anyway, thank you, and we work together on this.
Yep. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. So it takes many people to put this together. Let me turn it over.
Just one more thing. I'm sorry. Well, two more things. One is I'm really sorry that the representatives of the Duwamish couldn't be here. Ken Workman was here visiting earlier. He had some previous commitments. He couldn't make it. But there's one more little detail I'd like to communicate. When I was living here, one of the things we would do in the evening for supper, so we had a big round cable reel table down here in that little hollow. And we'd carry a tablecloth out and carry the supper down on a little kerosene lamp and eat out here and have supper. And the deer would walk by in the evening. Let's keep that vision.
Let me introduce County Executive Dow Constantine. I would just say that part of the money that makes all this happen is the Conservation Futures Trust Fund. It has been instrumental for starting the process, and he is showing a lot of leadership by continuing to support that, and we couldn't be happier.
Thank you, Scott, and thanks to everyone for being here for this wonderful celebration today. Yeah, Conservation Futures is critically important, and the story that I often tell, and I won't dwell on it today, but the reason that I ended up going into public service and into politics originally, rather than pursuing a lucrative legal career, yeah, sure you can, was because of a battle in our community to save a little wooded green space that was threatened with development, the place that we used to play as little kids. And one thing led to another, and pretty soon I was in the State House, and here 25 years later, we're celebrating another open space acquisition. This is the thing that I'm so passionate about, and I'm so grateful that there are so many people who care about it at least as much as I do. And I want to start, of course, by thanking Jim and Dev. Their vision, their willingness to work with others to create a real, genuine, lasting legacy is something that I hope people will not only appreciate but emulate in the future. That is what we need. We need community members like you. We need people who care about this place and this planet in order for us to be able to succeed. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, the preservation of this 7 acres immediately adjacent to Big Fin Hill Park is a success on a lot of levels. It's a win for this community. These acquisitions were led by the Fin Hill Neighborhood Alliance, of course, and by Councilmember Dembowski, who originally approached King County and Kirkland about the possibility of preserving this place. And it's a win for the City of Kirkland. And thanks to all the Kirkland officials and staff who are here today, which purchased part of this property in 2021. In pursuit of this vision you've heard about today, the green loop connecting this open space with many other holdings around the area. And it's a win, of course, for Jim and Dev, who wanted to see this place and their legacy preserved rather than converted permanently to new development. And it's a thrill to be celebrating with them. And Jim and I earlier got a chance to talk about our shared Greek heritage and the fact that our last names were shortened to something manageable when our ancestors arrived in this country. Thank goodness. It could have never fit Konstantopoulos on a yard sign. Right, Dembowski? Yeah. 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 But it's because of you, it's because of all of you, that this effort is succeeding. This 7 acres was highly coveted by developers. Permanently protecting this land as open space means it will be enjoyed by all forever. Now, as I said, conserving this area is a great accomplishment on a number of levels. I mean, clearly, there is the opportunity for recreation, the connection of that green loop. So many people got here today walking and biking. Some of them got here walking against their will. My staff is here today. But my daughter got dropped off right at the entrance. My daughter Sabrina is with us, sitting on the ground over there, fascinated by Daddy's speech. There was ice cream, though. But, you know, the ecological benefits of this are really significant. Denny Creek crosses across here. It provides important habitat downstream for salmonids. The property includes as well seasonal tributaries. It's not just the creek itself, but seasonal tributaries, native forest, forested wetlands. Adjacent to the park, of course, it'll extend this contiguous habitat and the recreational opportunities. So, yeah, and it's also a piece of history in a lot of different ways. But this is part of where O.O. Denny, Arthur's son, had his homestead, had his estate. And it's an important part of the City of Kirkland history as well. You can see there's a whole story that goes with this little cabin that's behind us about the history of this part of the county. And I hope others will be able to remark or expand on that. But I want to thank Jim and Deb. I want to thank Scott Morris and the Fin Hill Neighborhood Alliance. I want to thank Councilmember Dembowski for their leadership. All of the City of Kirkland officials who helped make today possible, and the staff and leadership of King County's Parks Division for their persistence and creativity and their work to conserve this land. Projects like this are exactly what I hope to achieve with our Conservation Futures work, with the Land Conservation Initiative in general, which seeks to protect the last best places. We've identified 65,000 acres that we need to protect before they are gone, and to do it in a single generation rather than over the 100 years that it would otherwise take us. But also, and very specifically this week, I sent to the county council, and Councilmember Dembowski and I announced this on Thursday, a measure to restore the conservation futures tax to what it originally was when it was enacted. It's eroded over the years because of state actions or inaction, and it is an opportunity for us to be able to restore one of the most important sources of funding to help us protect these last best places, to preserve lands for wildlife, to restore salmon, for recreation, and across this county, very importantly, to sequester carbon and make one more contribution to our battle against global warming and global climate change. This natural beauty is what draws so many people to the Northwest and keeps so many people here. And I wouldn't trade it for anything, but we're not going to be able to keep it without concerted efforts by the kind of people who have made today possible. So thank you all for remarkable work. I am so grateful. And those who will never meet you ought to be grateful as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Dow. Let's now hear from King County Council Member Rod Dembowski, and I think there are just a lot of people that put this together, but he really, you'll hear from him, all the pieces he put together, working with the city and just a series of funds. It was remarkable. So we couldn't be happier with what you've done, Rod. Thanks.
Scott. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you all for being here. My name is Rod Dembowski. I'm proud to be your county council member for District 1. And Executive Constantine mentioned a little thing about being a lawyer. Before I came on the council 9 years ago, I was a lawyer and I did some real estate law. And when this call came in, this looked like a great time to put some of those skills to work. And if you will indulge me, I'd just like to give you a little bit of an anatomy of the deal. A little bit of anatomy of the deal. How did we get here today? Well, it starts with a willing seller. And we should give them absolute appreciation. Jim and Deborah, as was mentioned, could have gone to the highest bidder. We pay fair value, but sometimes in this market, which is very heated, folks will pay more than that. And, you know, when you're on a property for 50 years and you put your heart and soul into it, you don't want to mess it up at the end, right? I mean, their future was on it. So we had to build trust. And politicians and trust are sometimes not two things that go hand in hand, Jim and Deborah, but we worked to do that. Scott, we have had a tremendous partnership with you and Bill Blanchard. Where's Bill? There's Bill. And the Finn Hill Neighborhood Alliance. Yeah, give Bill some love. And when they call, you know it's real and it's serious and it's something that's pretty exciting. So Scott emailed our office in September of 2020. And said he wanted to talk about this opportunity. We met with them later that month. And then by October, it was good timing because our budget was before the county council. I had put $500,000 starter money into our budget. By mid-January, we were working on a motion to prioritize investment in this property in our upcoming Conservation Futures Program process, where we have a committee and they go all over King County. We get applications, hundreds of them every year, to use these limited dollars, the Conservation Futures Trust dollars, to buy property. And we have a citizens committee that assesses them. The council can prioritize, so we put a motion together. We passed that motion saying, look at this one. That was in February of 21. And then Kirkland, all of our Kirkland City Council members and staff, raise your hand. They have been a tremendous partner, yeah. They agreed to provide $500,000 from the Green Loop funds that we put in our county parks budget, allocated to the Green Loop a couple of years ago. And so we were off to the races. Now we got $1 million, right? That's going to take a lot more. Then we got some money from our CFT committee, and then we went to work on getting the property appraised. That's a critical part of these projects. We always pay fair value, and we have to have a voluntary and willing seller. So we got that done. And then a superhero of this process came into play, and that's Sarah Brandt, who works with our program. Where's Sarah? Raise your hand, Sarah. I think we might hear from Sarah. Oh, there you are. Get up here, Sarah. Sarah is one of your too often unsung public servants at our Department of Natural Resources and Parks, and she was instrumental in putting this deal together. We then worked with our Conservation Futures Committee. We got the full awards that we were looking for, and soon we were up to $3.5 million. All right? We still needed some more money. We kept raising dollars. We put more money in the budget. Then we were up to over $4.5 million. These are from Parks Levy money, Kirkland money, Conservation Futures money, and our executive mentioned one of the great benefits of this project, and that is carbon sequestration. At the county, we have a program to sell carbon tax credits. So someone that needs to offset their emissions will buy these. This is one of the very early projects, let me look at my numbers here, with $55,000 from our forest carbon program are going in to acquire this land, to keep the trees and keep them sucking up all the bad stuff out of the air. So you're seeing it in action. Anyway, we finally got the deal done, and I want to really, again, thank Jim and Deborah for their confidence. They actually had counsel who I had worked with when I was in private practice, and we had a couple of emotional meetings, one of which was a call where I pledged my best efforts and said, work with us here. We may take a little longer as the government, but our checks don't bounce. And that worked out. And another very important meeting was on site. I've had the pleasure, and I know Executive Constantine has, to work with a guy named Ken Workman, who was mentioned. Ken is a great multiple levels grandson of Chief Sealth. And Ken came here about a year ago. It was a rainy day. There was a group of us, and we walked the site, and he was with other Duwamish leaders and elders, and they expressed their support for this project. They said this was special land, and they wanted the county to come forward and preserve it. And that was a very emotional day and gave us a little extra oomph. So it is special land. If you walk and stop and listen, you can watch for the bees and listen for the birds. Ford the stream, this is the headwaters of Denny Creek. We're very proud to own, as the county, Big Fin Hill Park and the beautiful wetlands that serve as the headwaters for Denny Creek. It is instrumental to protect those watersheds from the headwaters to the outfall at the lake, to have healthy habitat for salmon and for wildlife. And I know if you follow the Facebook page up here, you're seeing all those bobcats. They seem to be thriving. Watch your pets. But animal life like that relies on this. So that's a little bit of the anatomy of the deal. I don't know that we've assembled, what did it turn out to be? Over $4.5 million in less than 18 months. It's an exceptionally fast pace. Sarah was great on that. But let me give some thank yous, of course, to Jim and Deborah. Scott Morris, a tremendous community leader who gives and gives and gives, and his partner in all good works, Bill Blanchard. Great to work with you all. Round of applause for them. Emily, is Emily here? Emily? Yeah, okay, there she is. Another rising leader in the organization. Round of applause for Emily. We really appreciate Kirkland, Mayor Sweet, who couldn't be here, their parks director, our county executive. You heard his commitment to this kind of work. Director Christy True at DNRP, and Warren Jimenez, Catherine Taylor, Sarah, who you're going to hear from, and Lori King, who is also another worker at the county who put the deal together. So, the county executive mentioned our Conservation Futures program. It's about 3 cents on your property tax bill. I know those bills are big. You get them. The county gets about 17% of all that you send in. 3 cents per thousand helps buy things like this. And you'll have a chance to see if you want to go to 6 cents later in the year. I'm not campaigning for that, but I want you to know, at least here, what it's used for. And these last great places are disappearing. We have got to speed up the acquisition. We need more housing. But you have to look no further than right across Denny Creek to know what this could have been, where you see a single-family, low-density subdivision that literally with 2 homes are across the other side of the creek. And as good a steward as you want to be when you're mowing the lawn and putting the fertilizer on and all of that stuff that drains off, we know what happens, right? It's toxic. So we're not going to have that here. And it is very exciting to be able to expand Big Fin Hill Park. It's for you, from you, and congratulations to this community that made this happen. Thank you so much.
Stick around, by the way, because we've got a ribbon cutting and a little property tour, which I think will be kind of fun. So, Sarah, how'd it go? This was a snap, right? Putting it together?
Well, thank you. I work at King County Parks. I manage our open space program, and we have deals like this happening across the county, dozens, but never do we have big parties like this when we close them. So this is really great. we just want to emphasize and thank a lot of people that we've already heard about today, but that it's a special deal that's come together. I really want to emphasize that, how quickly the funding came together, how many people contributed, how many people pushed and supported and helped. And so from Executive Constantine and Councilmember Dembowski, the political will to really push on CFT funding, which is crucial for these types of deals, to find money where we need that, to leverage other funding sources is huge. Jim and Dev, we're not able to do these kinds of deals without willing sellers who have a vision. And to see what this could be forever for the public good, this public asset that you have found for us is just phenomenal. And so we really appreciate that. We always want to make sure that we thank tribes, right? The people who are stewarding this land before us and make this possible today. So I want to make sure that we're acknowledging that, and that King County feels, absolutely. We have great amount of honor at King County Parks to get to be a part of the ongoing story of this place and the cultural history that we get to protect here, and the ecological history is amazing. Who else? Kirkland. It's not every day that you have a city that calls you up and says, you know what, we've got some money to offer to help you raise millions of dollars, and how about we go ahead and leverage that against some other funding sources. That's amazing, and that was one of the best days I've had on the job, is when Kirkland called me and said, well, yeah, would you like $500,000? Like, okay. That's amazing. So thank you, and thank you for being our neighbors and our visionaries for this loop. We look forward to bringing this space into public ownership and public use. That's amazing. Let's see. I have others to thank. Well, why don't I also mention that the speed record here and the couple of funding sources that were already mentioned, the fact that we brought so many different funding sources together, the forest carbon program, a new parks levy grant that had never been used before on a piece of property like this. I just want to end, I think, today by saying that this is a model, a creative and exciting model that I think we're going to be able to draw from in the future. And we shall be really proud that we all happen to show how successful we can be if we are able to be creative and pull together those different funding sources. So again, thank you, Jim and Dev. I know there was a lot of heartburn around how slowly we moved. And thank you in this white hot market for being patient and for getting us to this moment today. It's amazing. Thank you.
Okay, last but certainly not least, we're going to hear from Jay Arnold, the Deputy Mayor of the City of Kirkland. I think you already understand they've been a critical partner in this acquisition. And we've been working on this for a while, and we've been working with the City of Kirkland very, very successfully on other acquisitions making up the Green Loop. So don't abandon us, Jay. You've been great.
Thanks, Scott. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jay Arnold, Deputy Mayor of the City of Kirkland, and I'm honored to be here today to pinch hit on behalf of Mayor Penny Sweet, who was unable to attend. She sends her apologies. She really, really wanted to be here for the celebration today. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of the Green Loop to the City of Kirkland on behalf of the city and my colleagues on the City Council. We've talked a lot about today on the home run that we have with this property today. I want to give you the overall game plan. Together, this and past councils have demonstrated a commitment to ensuring Finn Hill's annexation in Kirkland in 2011 was done with intention and care and grace. The city worked closely with the neighborhood to develop its first neighborhood plan. We wanted to set goals and objectives that would achieve the shared vision of the neighborhood over the years to come. As part of the Finn Hill Neighborhood Plan and with the leadership of the Finn Hill Neighborhood Alliance, we adopted a goal to establish a green loop corridor that circles the neighborhood, connecting parks, open spaces, pedestrian trails, wildlife corridors, and natural areas. We committed to drafting a green loop master plan that would help guide us in achieving the vision of the green loop. And we're committed to seeking easements through the development review process to provide public access and preserve natural areas within this green loop corridor. We anticipate that the city's Parks and Communication Parks and Community Services Department to embark on that Green Loop master plan process in 2023. However, we're not waiting for that master plan to get working on the Green Loop now. Through strategic partnership with King County Parks, we've used levy from the county parks levy to purchase the Winski property, a relatively small property that we'll walk by during the tour, provides a critical link to this Green Loop. And it's through vital small actions like that, parcel by parcel with what we're doing today, that we're going to achieve the vision of the Green Loop. It's a team effort, and we're grateful to our partners at King County Parks, on the King County Council, the leadership of the executive. We're appreciative of the effort, patience, and vision of the Finn Hill neighborhood in seeking to make the Green Loop a reality. So on behalf of the Kirkland City Council, the city, and the Parks and Community Services Department, thank you.
Okay, what we're going to do now is we've got a ribbon cutting down at the bottom of that meadow, and following that there will be tours of the property. Before we all head down there, I just want to say it comes back to this community. If you're engaged, then the public officials know that what people are advocating for is a community vision, and it will be supported by the community. So stay engaged. I would also say, and this is going to sound crass, but contributing money to help this continue is so important. Again, I think it's a way of convincing public officials that it's not just words. You're putting in, your own treasure as well as time to make this happen. It gives people confidence. We're going to try to raise another $500,000 over the next couple of years. We did that. That's why the Juanita Woodlands were saved. This community put in $500,000. We can do it again, and think of it not as a contribution, it's an investment in where you live, and it's investment for generations to come. Very, very important. By the way, we have multi-year pledge forms on our booth, so. I also want to point out that we are now allying with the St. Edward Environmental Education and Research Center, which is affiliated with the University of Bothell. Members of the faculty of the University of Bothell are here. They're studying the stream, they're studying wildlife. Susan Carlson, who's a Finn Hill resident, was a leader in organizing that. And I think that's a great resource. We're going to try to use that as a platform for more and more community engagement that's science-based. Finally, I want to give big thanks to Poverty Bay, who are working with Jim and Dev. They roast your beans, and they are all about sustainable coffee. So we have a local coffee business that's sustainable, politically correct, and it is being supported by Poverty Bay. So give them thanks and enjoy their coffee. Who did I forget? I think. Oh my gosh, who did I forget? I forgot Elizabeth Evans, who is Rod's incredibly responsive, incredibly pleasant, incredibly organized staff member, and to her disadvantage, incredibly modest. So give her a big round of thanks too. Thank you for that. As you can see, success has many authors in this case, and it should, and that's how we keep this going. So again, back to the community, I want to thank you guys for coming out and supporting this. Visit our booth. You can learn more about the Green Loop. It's happening all over the hill. There's a Green Loop parcel right next to you. And talk to the folks at St. Edward Environmental Education and Research Center. Lots of ways to get involved with them. I think there's still some ice cream left, who knows. And let's go and do a ribbon cutting. Okay, thank you.